73 degrees, overcast conditions at the Auburn University Soccer Complex, Auburn and Florida this afternoon. Gators head coach is Becky Burley, 21st season at Florida. His play has already begun. Open, quick start to this one. See the resume for the longtime coach at Florida, the starting lineup for the Gators. And we're underway at the Auburn University Soccer Complex. Out of bounds in front of the Auburn bench. Florida with the throw in. And another throw in for the Gators. Auburn opened up with possession on the kickoff. Howard drops it back. A little pressure from Ellie Leak for Auburn. Gators, of course, in the blue uniforms. Auburn, the home white uniforms. Here today with Mac Matthews. I'm Andy Bertram. Glad to have you with us. Westfall at center back for the Gators. Sends it forward. Intended for Savannah Jordan. Second leading scorer in the SEC with 10 goals. Some pressure on the Auburn defense. Forward it comes to Brooke Ramsier. Trying to set up Troutman, but too far for Troutman. And the Gators have it. Brooke Sharp to Jordan. Jordan being marked by Clark. Sends it wide. And a throw in coming for the Gators. Sarah Tricoli out of Troy, Michigan. Part of the 2013 state championship team in Troy with the ball off the throw in. Tied up over there. And sent forward, but off of Troutman and out of bounds. Sharp. Cardano forward into the Tiger defense, but Florida keeps control. Tricoli trying to set up Jordan, too far and on a hop to Sarah LeBeau, the goalkeeper for Auburn, the redshirt freshman.
You can already see Florida beginning to try to build in the flanks. It's a big part of their game, especially with Tricoli. Very patient player, good service, looking to create opportunities in the box.
Ellie Leak wide for Dodson for Auburn. Faulkner defending, and a throw in quick to the Gators. Faulkner, great speed on the outside of that defense for the Gators. Lauren Smith to Claire Faulkner. Tricoli drops it back. Ellie Leak for Auburn. Knocked off the ball by Lauren Smith, and the Gators with the ball. Claire Faulkner out of Dayton, Ohio, part of the U23 U.S. national team, and a steal. Brooke Ramsier with numbers for Auburn. To Leak, top of the box, sends it in on a hop. Valerie Tysinger, the junior from Daytona Beach, Florida. Quick throw out, but off of Tricoli, and Auburn will get the throw in.
Florida already beginning to build their possession game. They love to come back inside to their midfielders. It's one of the reasons why you see so few corner kicks in their stats. They just don't pump the ball long very often. Tricoli with an unusual bad touch, giving up that throw in for the Tigers.
Solaroo to Leak. Drops it back to Solaroo, sends it forward to Troutman. Headed out for the Gators, but Shell for Auburn. Dodson wide to Allspack. Sends it in. Had the assist on the golden goal for Auburn on Friday night, but over the top of the bar.
Getting good early signs for Auburn as they're able to use the flanks to their advantage. You can see Florida not even taking a goal kick. They're just going to continue to try to possess the ball.
Faulkner near midfield. Sends it forward. Savannah Jordan drops it back for Sharp. Back across the midfield marker to Westfall. Slattery. Back to Westfall at midfield. Westfall, nice move past Troutman. Sends it wide. Left-footed in, headed out by Clark for Auburn. Gators continue to possess, but Faulkner clears for Auburn to Troutman. Number 9 Florida, number 13 Auburn in a key SEC matchup here this afternoon. Both of these teams are 2-1 in Southeastern Conference play. Mac, what are you seeing early on?
Well, Florida remains absolutely committed to what they're really good at, which is just keeping the ball. They keep massive stats on their passes, how successful those are. They're looking for 500-plus passes, 80% completion rate, and that's how they build their game. Auburn, again, trying to defend compactly and then use the flank space. And so both teams with some early success should be a really, really good game.
LeBeau will send this one forward. Leak deflects to Casey Ramsier, drops it back to Shell. Taken off the ball nicely by Sharp, and the Gators try to move forward. Allspack with a collision. Gators have it. Brooke Sharp from Ponte Vedra, Florida. Pass didn't get there. And Auburn drops it back to Faulkner. Lots of pressure from Florida early on. And the Gators will drop it back to Tysinger.
They line up on paper in a 4-2-3-1, Florida does, but they really play more of a 3-5-2, 3-4-3. A lot of pressure from the midfield and forwards as soon as Auburn wins the ball.
Allspack wins that one. Gets the pass from Leak. Allspack down the right flank, working on Lauren Smith. It does a nice job to knock her off the ball out of Eustis, Florida. Drops it back. Tysinger quickly forward. Dodson retrieves for Auburn and drops it back at midfield to Kayla Faulkner, the All-SEC defender for the Tigers, to Samantha Solru. After missing 4 matches, she's getting her second straight start here this afternoon. Lauren Smith will drop it back. Tysinger.
You notice as soon as Florida wins the ball in their defensive third, both of their outside backs go to the touch line to create as much space to keep the ball as possible. Really only keeping 2 defenders back.
Westfall forward for Jordan. Drops it back to Cardano. Reverse it to the far side to Lauren Smith. Faulkner. And just bounced over the foot. And a throw in for Auburn.
And that's Faulkner. That's their left back, who's already 70 yards up the field waiting to keep the ball.
She reminds me from an athletic side or standpoint to Samantha Soderud. Really someone that can fly from that back line.
Absolutely. They've got speed all over the field. And they love to use it in the flanks.
You watch this team warm up, you see athletes all over the field, don't you?
That's right. And they run like...
a Gator player down in front of the Auburn bench, far behind the play. It's Myra Paleo, the freshman out of West Palm Beach, Florida.
I think maybe she was the player who went in on an attempted slide tackle earlier with Hannah Allspack.
We've had some rain, not a lot of rain, but just enough to make it damp here at the Auburn University Soccer Complex today. And for the most part, for now, the rain has stopped. Paleo will have to come out with the trainer coming on the pitch.
I'm going to put her back in as soon as the referee will allow it. Looked from the way she was walking like she might have just tweaked an ankle a little bit, maybe a knee.
So play will continue for Auburn. So Florida will play a man down for the moment. Allspack to Brooke Ramsier. Taylor Troutman with the touch into the box. Past the defender, Troutman. Knocked down from behind. Auburn fans wanting the penalty kick. Ramsier sends it, and on frame. That was Brooke Ramsier who sent it on frame to Tysinger.
Troutman with some success at turning their outside back, and unfortunate not to be able to get that ball off her feet. Looked like the defender got the ball first, so probably a good no call.
By the way, Paleo is back into the contest for the Gators. Ramsier and sent forward to midfield, where Faulkner sends it back across the midfield mark to Shell for Auburn. Forward, Casey Ramsier. Ramsey trying to feed it through. Ball deflected out. Here's the Gators. Drop it back, Lauren Smith. Ford, nice pass at midfield. Ball deflected. Clark takes it away from Jordan, and here is Kristen Dodson. Dodson trying to set up Casey Ramsier on a hop, but it gets to the goalkeeper.
Great recognition by Dobson. Ramsier lifted her left hand, showing where she wanted that ball, and almost delivered inch perfect.
And we'll see the Gators try to counter. Jordan working 1-on-3 right now against Clark and Faulkner. Jordan, they collide, and over the touchline, or the end line, and this will be an Auburn ball.
And you saw what Jordan is looking for. She runs off the back shoulder of a central defender as well as I've ever seen, but Kayla Faulkner is a tremendous one-on-one defender, taking nothing from Jordan in that exchange.
One of the better defenders in Auburn history, as a matter of fact, in Kayla Faulkner. 50-50 ball and a foul, so Auburn will get the free kick about 10 yards shy of midfield. We expect Faulkner to take it for Auburn. Savannah Jordan obliges.
Again, Kayla has shown throughout the season the ability to drop the ball this far away, right on the 6-yard box.
Had an assist Friday night off of a set piece, about the same place. Sotoru. Up the left flank. And there will be a foul. I think the official let it go while play was continuing, but everyone could see
That's right.
the pull on the jersey.
Everybody saw it, including the referee, but very, very smartly so. He was waiting to see if she could split those two defenders. A huge advantage if she could have cut inside. Even though with that high ankle sprain she's still recovering from, I don't know that she would have tried that, but he waited until the advantage disappeared.
All right.
Free kick for Auburn.
Brooke Ramsier will take it. Sends it far side. And off of Dodson and over off of the Gators. And a first corner kick of the day for Auburn.
That ball sent in a little further than Ramsier wanted it. And Dodson tried to do what she should, which is put it back across the face of goal and earned a corner kick.
Auburn's averaging about 6 corners per game. This will be the 63rd of the season for Auburn. Troutman at the 6. Casey Ramsier couldn't get a foot on that one, and Florida clears it all the way across midfield. They had everybody bunched in there defensively. And so Kiana Clark retrieves for the Tigers.
That is a bit unusual to drop every player defensively. Usually you leave a forward up to try to keep the other team honest, having to leave a couple of defenders back, but Florida chose to play very, very safe.
Well, Auburn scored all 3 of its goals off set pieces Friday night.
Probably very smart move.
Yeah. Dodson taken off the ball, and nicely so by Lauren Smith for the Gators. And a foul whistled against Dodson.
And the assistant referee helping out with not allowing any hand fighting today. And we'll see what he saw here as Kristen comes in. I guess he called them with their feet clicked together.
Heisinger out of the goal to take this kick. Shell wins that one for Auburn. Ramsier, ball deflected, and here's the Gators on the attack. Ramsier drops back. They get it into Jordan, but nicely done by Faulkner.
Looks like we have an offsides call at the end of that beautiful one-on-one battle. Again, as this ball is played, again, great pressure coming back. And that's from this angle, it's really hard to see, but maybe a shoulder in front offside, so very tight call.
The drive by LeBeau. That was rather obvious as Leak was pulled down by Liz Slattery, and Auburn will get a free kick.
Again, Auburn, very dangerous spot here, but that was about as blatant as you get. I'm surprised that referee's not having a conversation with that player. That was potentially could be worth a yellow card very early in the game, though. A lot of times referees won't give them this early.
This is Brooke Ramsier straight away.
And this one is far enough out where she can be able to get it over this individual player and on frame.
And she does try that, but it does not get there. And the Gators clear. Again, we saw Florida dropping everybody back, playing defense that time.
Not taking any chances on marking up.
Solarue, her pass did not get to Leak, turned around by the Gators. Slide by Jordan, but Clark is there for Auburn and sends it to Solarue on the flank. Forward for Taylor Troutman. We're just the start of things. No score early on. 30 minutes remaining in the first half. Brooke Ramsier sends it in. Nobody there for Auburn. Easily taken by Valerie Tysinger. Told that although she's a goalkeeper now, didn't always want to be a goalkeeper when she was younger. One of two. As a matter of fact, she did not make the start against Vanderbilt on Friday night in the goal for the Gators.
When Marquise was in goal, had a pretty good game. Gave up 2 goals, and Tysinger takes the frame today.
Now, both of these teams won 3-2 on Friday. Florida at Vanderbilt, Auburn here against LSU in double overtime.
And that will come into play as this game progresses. Auburn's got to have some tired legs at some point compared to Florida.
Faulkner wins that race to the ball in front of Dotson, turns it around, and sends it forward. Both of these teams have been applying pressure to the other team trying to mount a charge early on.
Now, both teams are very, very confident right now in their individual skills and their team tactics. Not afraid to push and press and count on their midfields to kind of keep things in check behind them.
Kiana Clark brings that one forward. No score at the Auburn University Soccer Complex. Faulkner moves forward and wins the ball for Florida. But there is Kiana Clark returning the favor. Back and forth we go, setting up Jordan. Faulkner back for Auburn. Savannah Jordan taken off the ball by Faulkner. And we'll get a penalty kick. Faulkner takes down Jordan in the box.
And the only thing that could save Faulkner at this point is if she got the ball. And it's very hard to see from this angle. But it looks like she anticipated that contact, touched the ball away, and took the foul. Very heady play by Florida's leading goal scorer, Jordan.
This will be the 3rd corner kick of the year for the Gators. They are 1 of 2. And Maggie Doherty Howard will take this one.
And Sarah saw a penalty kick Friday night. Went to her left, got her hand on it, was almost able to touch it over the frame.
So LeBeau in gold. Doherty Howard will take this, junior out of Largo, Florida. And Karen Hoppe really arguing her point, I'm guessing, on the penalty call itself.
Yeah, I'm assuming that she thinks that Kayla got a touch on that ball and certainly didn't seem to make contact after that, in which case it's not a penalty kick, and Karen's willing to take a yellow card over that. And we get one more look at this. And the question is, did Kayla get a touch on the ball? Did her trailing leg? And again, very hard to see there.
All right, here's the shot. Doherty Howard. And it's blocked by LeBeau. LeBeau moving to her right, blocks the shot.
And that may be one thing that Coach Hoppe was doing as well. Sometimes goalkeepers play head games trying to stall the penalty kicker, and Coach Hoppe certainly had that effect.
Another look.
As that ball comes off the post. Sarah had it covered if it was inside.
Yeah, I don't know if she even got a piece of that one.
Yep, I think it came directly off the post, but anything that would have been tucked inside, Sarah with that long frame really had covered.
And that one energized the crowd, to be certain, as LeBeau sends it forward. Headed forward, LSU. Smith drops it back. Westfall turns for the Gators. A touch forward for Slattery as they now drop it back to Faulkner. Smith. Near side for Cardano. Westfall for the Gators as they move to the far side. With some room, Westfall moves past Shell. Slattery right back to Westfall. Serves it into the box. LeBeau out to get it for Auburn.
And you can see the impact already of Faulkner, Florida's left back, getting so high up the field. Dodson had to stop and drop all the way back to try to help pick her up.
Right.
Great coverage of the runners in the box. Sarah LeBeau not afraid to come out and clean that up.
To the midfield mark. Solarue. And a touch last by Florida. Auburn with the throw in.
And one of the ways you can pin back a very aggressive 4-3-3, the wingers, is by running your outside backs forward and making them go back and defend. And Florida's taking that risk right now.
Florida coming up empty on a penalty kick early on in this one. Ramsier to Troutman with the left foot, sends it wide.
Again, I could see in her mind, you could see the wheels turning. Kristen Dodson breaking from the right. She was trying to curl that ball around early to Kristen, but just mishit it.
Melanie Monteagudo, freshman out of Pembroke Pines, Florida, is in. High school All-American. I believe replacing Slattery in the lineup for the Gators.
Slattery is such an important player for them. She keeps possession tremendously well.
I was incorrect. I believe it's Tricoli who's out of the lineup.
Yeah, that makes a little bit more sense. Again, Slattery and Daugherty Howard are the two real keepers of the ball for Florida.
And that's Slattery right there, working on Leak. Allspack dropped it back. Forward for Troutman. She's in a land of blue jerseys, waiting for some numbers to come forward. Liz Smith drops back. Troutman wins the ball. Her pass was behind Dodson. Allspack now centers to Shell. Solarue up the left side. Instead, they'll drop it back to Allspack. Forward for Dodson. Chips it in. Liz Smith is able to shield Troutman, but Troutman gets to the ball, and Auburn will get the throw in. Tell you what, this has been a physical game early on.
Well, you saw it first with Kayla Faulkner on a very similar play. Shoulder to shoulder, it's good contact, no foul. There's contact in this sport.
Allspack for the throw in for Auburn. Did not get the pass to Troutman. And the Gators start up the field, but Allspack is there. Brooke Ramsier. Faulkner. Westfall. Shell. Deflected. Troutman again, no. Deflected by Leak. Finally cleared. May have gone off the official. Solarue. Tries to split a couple double team, taken off the ball, and the Gators have it. Midfield, Gators can be very dangerous here as they turn the field, trying to set up Jordan, but Faulkner there for Auburn to send it back near midfield.
Two critical things on that exchange. Number one was Sam Solarue looking to cut inside and taking a big hit. Seems no worse for wear. That ankle appears to be doing better. And then you saw Florida try what they love to do, which is to slot that ball between the two center backs for Jordan to run onto, but they were unable to complete that pass.
Palaio is out in Middleton. Betsy Middleton, a junior from Elon, North Carolina, transfer from the University of Miami, is in for the Gators.
She had the game winner Friday night against Vanderbilt. Hit about a 23-yard rocket.
Jordan sends it forward, and a foul on Savannah Jordan. Well, from the contact we've seen so far, that seems rather incidental, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what the referee saw, but he may simply be trying to tighten the game up a little bit, it's a smart move on his part.
Jordan retrieves for the Gators. Dodson trying to set up Allspack and does. Has Leak down the right flank. Sends it in. On frame. Tysinger for the keep, for the save.
Can't blame her for taking that shot. She's scored from further away than that already this season.
21-53 in the first half. No score between Auburn and Florida. The Gators have outshot the Tigers today 7-1. Including a missed penalty kick. Soderud forward for Auburn. Leaves for Troutman. Tried to send it back to Soderud. It just didn't get there. There wasn't enough on it, but over the touchline off of Cardano, and Auburn with a throw-in, and Soderud will take it. Soderud forward for Troutman. Let me make one correction. It's Auburn with the 7 shots, not Florida.
Getting ready to say that sounded really, really strange given the possession seemed very even. If
many
not,
things I say sound strange.
Well, Andy, everything you say is usually golden.
Auburn has outshot Florida 7-1 so far in this one. Allspack. Shell for Auburn. Kiana Clark with pressure from Jordan. Forward for Casey Ramsey.
That was a great job by Jordan, forcing the play to stay on the same side when Auburn wanted to switch it.
Sends it through. Soderud with a foot race. And over the touchline for Auburn.
And tremendous speed displayed by Cardano, because Soderud can flat out fly.
That was a couple speedsters going at it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ellie Leak on the end line. Troutman serves it in. Dodson can't quite get a foot on that one to shoot it. And Kristen Westphal watches it go over the touchline, and a throw in for Auburn from the opposite side.
Very dangerous ball in the box. Kristen Dodson could have hit that one time with that left foot. Could have been very, very dangerous. Coach Hopp has got to be very happy right now with the amount of possession and opportunities Auburn's creating.
Leak off the throw in. Dodson in. Troutman, but over her, and Tysinger not taking any chances, came off her line to take that one out of the air. Quickly forward. Faulkner across midfield. Howard. Allspack will get to this one and just sends it over the touchline, and a throw in now for the Gators.
Florida in the midst of shifting players' positions considerably. They've dropped Faulkner in as a center back.
Beal is in for Auburn, replacing Leak. A couple as well for the Gators.
And they've moved Westphal, who's normally a center back, out to the left back to continue to get presence in the attack.
Nice heel ball sets up the Gators. Into the box, deflected right back and over the end line, and a foul, I believe, whistled against the Gators.
We've got a foul or an offside. I couldn't see the...
Maybe the offside.
Yeah. It's very hard to tell as that ball is moving through the box and the AR is hidden from our view.
Over the head of Savannah Jordan, drops back to Kayla Faulkner, to Sarah LeBeau. Under 18 minutes remaining in the first half, and a scoreless draw at the Auburn University Soccer Complex. The 13th ranked Tigers of Auburn, the 9th ranked Gators of Florida. Nice flick forward off the header by Ramsey to Beal. Drops back to Allspack. And now Dodson. With the left foot sends it in, flicked, but no one there for Auburn. And here are the Gators. Forward trying to set up Jordan, but Faulkner drops back for Auburn to Solaru. Shell, ball deflected right to Savannah Jordan. Middleton forward for the Gators. Just over 17 minutes in the first half. Florida ball. Some miscommunication, it would appear. Trying to set up Monteagudo for the Gators, but she was actually coming out rather than moving down the flank.
And Auburn very happy to see that errant pass. Florida was really settling into this middle third as Auburn got caught in transition. Courtney Shell really unwilling to play first time to try to switch the ball and got caught in possession.
Florida wins that 50-50 ball. And the Gators move forward now. Middleton with the ball being marked by Solaru for Auburn. Centers back. Doherty Howard. Shell wins that. Sends it forward, but too far. That ball skipped on the first hop, trying to set up Dotson, I believe.
Yeah, her eyes got really big when she saw Kristen pushing that center back, and she could have dropped it just over with some backspin. It would have sat down, but on this slick field, it was always going to run on the way it was hit.
Lauren Smith down the flank and a step for the Gators into the box. Trying to set it up with the left foot. Chung couldn't get there and is sent out by Solaru. Sent back in. Beal is there for Auburn. That was off of the Gators. That should be Auburn ball, and it is. That was a dangerous run by Florida that time. Maybe the best offensive surge we've seen.
Absolutely, and that's, where you see the shift in Florida's back was precisely for that reason, was to get fresh wheels on the outside and turn the corner.
Allspack forward for Kristen Dodson. With a little space to move. Sends it forward for Beal, but that's going to be too far, I believe. Yeah. Faulkner just drops back and sends it to Tysinger in goal.
Faulkner's an incredibly experienced player and with good speed as well, and you're going to have to do a lot better than that to beat her in the flank.
This may be as much speed as we've seen on the SEC network in an Auburn match. Yeah, that Auburn has faced is what I'm saying.
The combined athleticism on these two teams is tremendous, and I think you're absolutely right. Florida's got more team speed across the board than anybody Auburn's seen.
Brooke Ramsier to Kristen Dodson. 10 assists as a freshman last year. Beal trying to set up Casey Ramsier. I'm not sure those long passes are going to work that well today. At least they haven't so far.
Well, too much experience in the back line of Florida. They can read those and step into the passing lanes very nicely.
Savannah Jordan wins that ball, and Florida will get the throw in front of the Auburn bench.
Coming into play for the Tigers, number 10, Ashton Brock.
Ashton Brock in for Auburn.
Into the Gators, number 25, Sarah Wilson.
Sarah Wilson for the Gators into the lineup. Clark comes out in front of Jordan. And the throw in for Auburn. 13 and a half minutes to go, first half. No score, Auburn, Florida. Can't say I'm terribly surprised that we're seeing this tight of a ball game today.
Well, it's starting to settle in a little bit. You're seeing fewer chances in the last 10 minutes than in the first 20. And it'll be interesting to see if Florida's ability to possess the ball begins to wear Auburn down.
Solaru for Auburn. Forward for Shell. Give and go to Solaru across midfield. Good job to mark that time by Middleton. Auburn regroups. Dodson playing more in the middle today. Slice it through. Setting up Casey Ramsier, and it just didn't get there. Doherty Howard. Middleton at midfield. Knocked off the ball by Solarue to Troutman. And out of bounds to Auburn.
It's become a very compact game. Both teams playing up the middle a lot more than we saw Friday night for either team. Florida against Vanderbilt was very good at using the flanks, as was Auburn against LSU.
Troutman in a double team. Middleton. Troutman emerges from that to Dodson. And over the touchline to Florida.
A surprising call, but sometimes you just got to go with it.
Middleton trying to set up Jordan, but hit her in the back. Casey Ramsier. Forward, Troutman from Solarue. Splits defenders. Taylor Troutman with Brooke Ramsier down the left. Sends it in.
I love the idea. She took the space which she needed to, which opens up some lanes, but at the last second, instead of slotting Dodson through, decided to take the shot herself on her weaker foot.
Pamela Bigage, who also plays on the Gator basketball team, into the lineup for Florida. Bigage, a junior from Slovenia. Has 2 goals and an assist on the season. Ramsier. Excuse me, that was Shell trying to feed to Dodson. Brock came forward. Auburn with the pressure and the ball. Beal couldn't get it to Troutman. Gators the other way. Middleton drops back for Sarah Wilson. And back to Faulkner, a senior from Dayton, Ohio. Second team All-SEC a year ago. Lauren Smith forward. And past everyone.
In a very different game developing than Friday night. You saw a lot of end-to-end stuff as LSU tried to counterattack and did it very effectively, and Auburn kind of joined into that. Both teams trying to keep the ball a lot more in this game.
8 shots for Auburn, 2 for the Gators here in the first half. We're approaching 10 minutes remaining in the first half of play in a scoreless game.
We'll see how this plays out, Andy, but this may fall right into what Auburn needed after so many minutes Friday night.
Played into the second overtime period before the golden goal from Casey Ramsier, her second goal of the night. Gators with the possession. Up the side. And Ashton Brock for Auburn. Taken to the turf. And to throw in for the Gators. Samantha Chung. Gains control again. Begich drops it back. Faulkner inside the circle. Slots it in for Jordan. Savannah Jordan, excuse me. Now back to Middleton. Given some room to run for Wilson. Too far.
Man, this is what Auburn did not want to see develop. Florida with one player back defensively. Everybody else really packing the Tigers in. Fortunate that ball ran out.
Charlotte Van Ishoven into the lineup for Auburn, the freshman out of Belgium. A couple game winners already this season. Cal Irvine and at Tennessee.
Every time she steps on the field, it seems like good things happen for the Tigers.
Threw it into a double team. Shell past Troutman, drops back to Faulkner for the Gators. Faulkner regains control, splits a pair of Auburn players, bringing it forward. Begich in the box, and Jordan was offside.
That one was a pretty easy call to make, but great combination play. When you get a center back like Faulkner who's running through for give and goes, it spells trouble. And as she ran through, very great presence, picked her head up, slotted the ball left, and it's the next pass where you find Jordan offsides. Yeah, easy call.
Quite offsides. Begich, midfield, working on Shell. Gators drop it back. Lauren Smith, touch across midfield. Chips it forward for Savannah Jordan, not there. Kiana Clark to Ashton Brock. Very little room for Auburn to work today, and that's a credit to Florida.
They press, and they've rotated. 35 players on this roster,
yeah.
16 freshmen. They've got talent everywhere. They can all run like deer. And so their coach keeps fresh wheels on the field, and they continue to push you.
6:45 in the first half, scoreless between Auburn and Florida. The winner is at no worst in a tie for second place in the SEC after today. Van Ishoven. Across midfield, forward for Troutman, trying to win the ball against Faulkner. Drops back, not only wins it, but turns it around for the Gators.
And this is when she's her most dangerous, running at you,
yep.
Not just a defender.
Faulkner forward. Middleton. Over the touchline.
A little miscommunication, but you can see Faulkner, who's a center back, no concern for getting back defensively because someone else rolled into her position. Coach Burley's done a tremendous job of training what a lot of people would call total soccer. Just play where you are. Positions are just good starting points.
Troutman out of the lineup for Auburn. Gianna Montini into the lineup. Did not play, I believe, Friday night for Auburn.
Did not.
So some fresh legs for the final 5:40 of the first half.
That's right. It's a very valuable 5 minutes. Allows the player to rest all the way through the halftime.
Freshman out of Torrey Pines High School in San Diego. Flick it forward. Jordan working on Faulkner. Solaroo steps forward for Auburn and gets a touch and then taken out. Coming up at the half, Auburn's defense. It's one of the best not only in the SEC but in the country. You'll talk about it coming up at the half. Also, tough times for the Auburn family. How does Auburn respond to tough times? And first half highlights. Right now, the big first half highlight, a missed penalty kick by the Gators.
That's right, a tight call, a questionable call, and
yeah.
Florida will feel like they missed an opportunity. Auburn will feel like justice was served.
Montini with a grab of Begich's jersey, and that was the foul. 4.5 minutes to go in the first. Smith forward. Auburn steps up. Ashton Brock trying to set up Montini, but too far. And Faulkner drops back for the Gators. A total of 10 shots in the first half, 8 by Auburn, 2 by the Gators.
We had 8 of those shots in the opening 15 minutes of the game. Only 2 in the last, really 30 minutes as the game's really settled in.
Begich trying to send it through, but Solaroo there for Auburn to Brooke Ramsier. Sister Casey in. Casey chips it, shoots it wide.
She'll want that one back, Andy. If she could have chipped that first touch and calmly enough, relaxed, settled down, but should have buried that second ball. And great ball in over the top. Took a little bit of a bad bounce, and then she kind of panicked a bit.
Tysinger off her line, and Ramsier sent it wide. That's Auburn's best opportunity thus far.
Absolutely. Tysinger took what sometimes you call the death step. She thought she could get to it, didn't realize she couldn't. Right. She was in no man's land for an early chip.
Begich with the header forward. Brock drops back as it goes over the touchline.
Both teams with opportunities that they're surely going to regret.
A missed penalty kick, and then Casey Ramsier with the goalkeeper off the line sent it wide. Under 3 minutes now in the first half. This could easily be a 1-1 game right now.
Sure could.
Middleton wins that one against Solaroo. Centers forward, Bigage with Jordan running forward, but Faulkner turns it around for Auburn. Van Ishoven loses it. They go wide now. Chung for the Gators, working on Brock. Right foot in, and it goes wide.
In Florida, sticking with that game plan of trying to slot Savannah Jordan in as she makes that slashing run, but Auburn has just filled those lanes very nicely. Clark and Faulkner, no stranger to that kind of attack, and seemed very comfortable.
Jordan leads Florida with 10 goals. Sharp is second with 7. No one else with more than 2 on the roster. I'm sorry, one mistake. Tricoli has 4.
And just a freshman, I believe.
Exactly. Out of Troy, Michigan. With the right foot right on the mark. It was on frame from Doherty Howard, but taken in the gut by Sarah LeBeau.
A nice strike of the ball, but Sarah's seen way too many of those hits in training to be bothered by that.
Minute and a half in the first half. Beal trying to set up Ramsey. Doherty there. Faulkner there for the Gators.
Faulkner, what a tremendous defensive presence. She just as calm as she could be on that.
And Florida counters. Jordan working on Kiana Clark, who wins the ball and sends it back to LeBeau. Low and forward. Flicked forward. Brooke Ramsier to Shell. Approaching a minute in the first half. Bigage drops it back to Smith for the Florida defenders.
1 minute remaining. 1 minute remaining.
Far side. Westfall working on Brock. Brock sends that one over the touchline, saving the corner.
In the last 3 minutes, the game's opened up. Looks a lot more like Friday night.
Into the box. Sent right back out. Doherty Howard chips it in wide. But that will be a corner for the Gators in the final 25 seconds of the first half.
Not surprisingly, Auburn drops every single player back, reminiscent of Florida earlier in the half, to defend with 15 seconds in the half.
Westfall will take this one from the far corner. Sends it in. Whoa, Jordan had it, and it's cleared. LeBeau with a great save going to the turf, and the first half comes to a close.
What a tremendous way to end the half, doing what keepers really struggle with, which is getting down fast. As tall as she is, as long as her frame, she had very little reaction time. Great snap header, an even better save by Sarah LeBeau.
So the first half comes to a close in a flurry. No score. Auburn and Florida on the SEC Network. Scoreless at the half at the Auburn University Soccer Complex. Number 9 Florida, number 13 Auburn. Both teams had opportunities. The first and the best is a penalty kick for the Gators. Megan Doherty Howard with the miss off the post. Late in the half, Casey Ramsier with an opportunity. And then the Gators, right as the first half came to a close, Mac Matthews.
Great save by Sarah LeBeau, cleared off.
Then the head coach.
And very, very close, especially with the younger girls. Spent time with those freshmen all summer long. And as you said, Andy, our thoughts and certainly our prayers are with her.
Florida will open up with possession in the second half. Auburn 9 shots in the first half. Florida with 4. They had a couple late in that first half of play. It was interesting that the game we saw different phases. It kind of opened up early, tightened up through the middle, and at the end we saw that game open up as well in the first half.
The last 5 minutes resembled Friday night's game for both teams, where it was very, very end-to-end stuff. Auburn with LSU, Florida at Vanderbilt, and then it settled in during the rest of that half, and we'll see how it unfolds in the second half.
The Gators with possession, trying to send it through. They do, but LeBeau is there for Auburn instead of trying to set up Jordan at that time.
That's the first time I've seen Florida commit Pelayo to make that run through instead of Jordan. It's a second runner and almost found her on the end of that run.
Dodson flips it forward, but too far intended for Ellie Leak. And in the games that we have done this year for the SEC Network, Mac, these Auburn games. Really, this is the first time that we've seen a team that has a defense and specifically individual defenders that are up to par with the Auburn defense.
Absolutely. Incredibly comfortable
Yes.
on the ball. You can see how far apart they play right now. If you look at this, they really only got one defender, Faulkner, back. Pushing both outside backs high up the field. Very English style of play in many ways.
Start to see the sun shining through as Casey Ramsey moves forward to her sister Brooke. Down the middle to Ellie Leak. Leak wide. Casey Ramsey in the box. Sets, shoots, it's blocked. Gets it back, shoots, scores! Casey Ramsey with the lead for Auburn.
And again, the width between those two center backs just cost Florida a goal as Auburn was able to split the middle. And Ramsey just stays on it and stays on it, and second effort puts it home.
Saw the goalkeeper come off the line again.
Absolutely.
And this time it paid off for Casey Ramsey.
That's right. Again, tremendous counterattack. And I'll say it again, the width between those two center backs speaks to their confidence, but if you get caught at the wrong moment and countered, you see what happens.
1-0 Auburn, 2 minutes into the second half of play. And another opportunity, Shell with Leak forward. Dodson down the left side trying to feed it to Dodson. It did not get there as Faulkner got between Leak and the ball.
Now the next 3 or 4 minutes, Auburn's really going to have to keep its focus.
And Allspack will be whistled for a foul. Going for the ball as Doherty Howard goes down for Florida. She appears to be okay.
Hannah comes in like she usually does, which is she's not going to take any prisoners, and apologizing as she walked away, hands raised in the air, and she should have.
1-0 Auburn, the goal from Casey Ramsey. And we'll watch how Florida reacts and counters that.
Florida went down a goal early against Vanderbilt Friday night. Came back and was able to take care of that.
For Ramsey, her 6th goal of the season.
So I think
her 7th and her 3rd of the weekend.
And my mistake, too. Florida didn't go down early. They scored early, then gave up 2 goals, and then came back to win 3-2.
Dodson up the right side with the defense back. Shoots it. Short goal! Dodson off the near post, and it's 2-0 Auburn.
And completely unexpected when she hit that ball near post. Number 1 rule of goalkeeping is don't give up a goal near post. She had it covered well, but just didn't get down quickly enough, and that ball snuck in the back of the net one more time. She hits a worm burner. It stays right on the surface and squirts in the back of the net.
Tysinger, I think, got a hand on it but could not stop it, and it's a 2-0 Auburn lead as Auburn scores 2 goals in the first 4 minutes of the second half.
And this is, those 5 minutes after a goal is scored statistically give up more goals than any other in the game. Beginning of the game, end of the half, and so on. And now we'll see what Florida's senior leadership can do.
Down 2 now. How does Florida, does it play any differently at this point? Sharp taken off the ball by Faulkner. Auburn sends it forward. Casey Ramsey for Dodson, by the way. Her 3rd goal of the season. Leak wide for Dodson. Oh, and she goes down. She's all right, but could not hold it with a smile on her face. 2-0 Auburn.
The only thing prettier than that smile was the shot she took a few minutes ago.
The Gators. Auburn's pressure early on with 2 goals on 2 straight rushes forward.
And we'll see if both teams change at this point. Florida obviously has got to, just settle themselves on getting.
Kiana Clark with Jordan on her back, and Clark just sends it over the touchline.
They've got to get 1 goal first, and I'm sure that's their focus, not trying to get both of them back immediately. But will Auburn settle in and try to defend this lead, or will they continue to throw that ball wide and try to create chances?
Sharp taken off the ball, and nicely so by Ramsey, and out of bounds. Brooke Sharp Jr. out of Ponte Vedra, Florida. 2 goals, 2 assists in the Southeastern Conference. Wilson, too sharp. Trying to center. Faulkner clears to midfield for Auburn. Sent back in. Jordan trying to flick it forward. Allspack. To Leak. Can't get to this one though. Wilson is there for the Gators. To Faulkner. Shell tried to come up and take that pass away, but the Gators control. Westfall approaching midfield. Nice move. Westfall continues to move forward. Sends it wide.
And Westfall, one of those captains for this Florida Gators team who's already looking to create opportunities going forward out of her back line.
Slattery drops it back. Westfall serves it in. Jordan tried to flick it there. Ball deflected out. It's controlled by Brooke Ramsier. Forward for Ellie Leak. The Gators converge, and Faulkner has it for the Gators. Lauren Smith. Up the right side. Smith moving forward off the defense. And now let's see Auburn mount an attack. Kristen Dodson waits for some numbers.
Very smart decision. She had no help forward, and now Auburn can relax, breathe, kill a little clock, make Florida run.
Leak through a double team. To Shell. Allspack. Forward. With some room. Serves it in to Tysinger.
She'll be disappointed with that. She was trying to curl that ball back onto Casey Ramsier's head. Hit it straight right to the keeper.
2-0 Auburn, 38 minutes, 5 seconds to go, second half. Both of Auburn's goals coming early here in the second half of play. Savannah. Jordan works past Clark, who recovers. With the left foot, goes wide to Sharp. With the shot and a dive and a save by LeBeau.
And a great switch of the field by Jordan. Couldn't beat Clark. Hits a very nice cross and a great strike, but Sarah, no problem. Laid out, held the ball nicely.
Casey Ramsier and Kristen Dodson with the 2 goals so far. Florida tries to respond. Nice serve in. With the left foot in, LeBeau.
And these are worrying signs for Auburn as Florida is able to get the ball onto their attackers' feet just outside the 18 with relative ease. They're going to have to weather this push and see what they can do when they have the ball.
And if you're saying, wow, that 2-goal lead, that's insurmountable. Not so much. We saw Ole Miss come from 2 down to beat Alabama on Friday. And this is one of the top goal-scoring teams in the SEC and the Florida Gators. Sharp off a nice feed, middle of the field. Up the right side. Trying to slice it through to Savannah Jordan. Out at the top of the box. Jordan turns with the left foot poked away by Clark, but that will result in a corner kick for Florida.
Again, Auburn's going to have to continue to concentrate. Florida applying pressure, very patient, even with being 2 goals down, not abandoning their possession style.
Westfall will take the corner. A senior from Brecksville, Ohio, Walsh Jesuit High School, an All-American 2 years ago, on the Herman Trophy watch list this season. Everybody defensively in the box for Auburn.
Absolutely.
In on a hop to LeBeau.
That's the second corner Auburn's been unable to defend appropriately.
You beat me to it. Yeah. Second time that I think Jordan was the one that got her head on that one, but LeBeau both times has retrieved it. Over the touchline as Jordan gave chase. First substitution of the second half will be Logan Beal for Auburn. And we'll see Leak leave, but in all likelihood come back in this second half.
Yeah, it's an interesting move. Ellie very, very good running at goal. Logan Beal may give Auburn a little bit better defensive presence from a forward. We'll see how that plays out.
Faulkner, too sharp. Runs it down in the corner. Marked by Allspack. Serves it in, far side on a hop, short side to LeBeau. Gators have opened it up offensively.
They sure have. They're throwing both of their outside backs forward as they've been doing all game, committing numbers in the box. And have had better looks in the last 5 minutes than they have the whole first half of the game.
Sharp at midfield. Forward for Paleo with Jordan. Slices to Jordan. Trying to send it back to Paleo, I believe, but too far. And Brooke Ramsier turns upfield for Auburn. One more touch, sends it forward for Logan Beal. Foot race to get to this one. Beal is there. Wide. Serves it in. Far post, I think, trying to set up Dotson, but too much on goal that time.
Again, great idea, but even in this situation, you can see Florida is simply going to play out of the back. They're not even going to punt the ball and try to win it further up the field.
Liz Slattery. Touch from Jordan to Sharp. Right back, Middleton to Jordan, and she was offside.
Again, troubling things developing for Auburn. Their outside backs getting caught higher up the field. They've got to be tired, and you're starting to see, I think, the legs coming in from Friday night double overtime. Again, Auburn very fortunate that Jordan was left offside. Great step by Kiana Clark.
Approaching the 33-minute mark of the second half. Florida with possession. Sarah Wilson. Across midfield to Sharp. Back to Wilson. Forward for Smith. Turns and runs. With the left foot, sends it in the box. Florida player down, and they're going to call another penalty on Auburn.
That's another interesting call. Looks like two players going for the ball, but when you get bumped from behind like that, you put the referee in a bad position.
Maybe got her with the shoulder.
Yeah, maybe so. It's hard to see hiding behind Kayla Faulkner on that play. A little better angle here.
Savannah Jordan will take this corner, or excuse me, this penalty kick.
Yeah, again, I can understand why he called that.
Second penalty kick of the day for Florida. This one's good. The Gators are within one.
Now the game gets really interesting, Andy, as Florida's right back in it.
Savannah Jordan with her 11th goal of the season. That ties for the SEC lead.
And nothing Sarah can do about that. That is a perfectly executed corner kick.
Smith is out for the Gators. As Auburn regroups, now leading 2-1.
And two penalty kicks called against Auburn. That's the first time I've seen that all season.
Well, the one miss is the difference in the contest right now.
That's right. Again, all that pressure Florida's been putting in the box and tends to lead to good things like that.
Shell to the defense of the Gators. Troutman for Auburn. Lauren Smith, excuse me. Auburn's got to tighten its defense up a bit. Would you agree?
They sure do, and you can see what Coach Hopp has done with Logan Beal. She rolled Kristen Dotson into the center striker, and now Logan is dropping back even now to supply some pressure in the flanks.
Forward, Jordan from Faulkner. Drop it back, Slattery. Into the box. Allspack there for Auburn to Logan Beal. Across the midfield mark and over the touchline. Well, we've seen one upset already today in SEC soccer.
That's right.
And it is a big one. Georgia wins against Texas A&M. Georgia's first conference win, 0-3 going in.
I wouldn't have called that one in a million years, but good for Georgia.
Won it 2-1. That game was in Athens. The only undefeated team in the SEC in league play is South Carolina, 3-0.
They're coming up on Auburn's radar soon.
Auburn will play at South Carolina a little bit later on in the season.
For right now, Auburn's got its hands full with
Yes, it
Florida.
does.
They've got 31 minutes to keep their focus off the board.
Sharp forward. Gators, Lawrence Smith. Smith tried to flick it in for Jordan, didn't get there. Right back to Lawrence, or rather to Sharp. Middleton, Slattery. To Faulkner. Just about everybody forward now for the Gators. Trying to flick it in for Jordan. With the left foot, sent it high.
And Florida had 7 players you could have thrown a blanket over in the center of the field as they looked to play their possession game right down the middle. Very deadly stuff.
All right, let me ask you this, though. Is Florida susceptible to a counter?
They would be if Auburn decides to play that way, but Auburn's got to get the ball to be able to mount a counterattack, and they're struggling to do that right now.
2-1 Auburn, approaching 30 minutes to go in the second half of play. A penalty kick for the Gators brings Florida within 1.
Yeah, you can see Auburn's dropped its wingers off defensively now, allowing Florida to have the ball in their half of the field.
Slattery, or rather Middleton, to the defense, back to the midfield marker. Auburn having trouble gaining possession of the ball. Allspeck forward for Auburn. And now a counter for the Tigers. Beal and Dodson flank. Allspeck up the center. Flicks it right side for Logan Beal. Beal taken down just outside the box. No foul called. And Florida starts the other way. Kiana Clark, nice play. Casey Ramsey for her sister Brooke. Through a couple defenders, but not a third. Collision and a foul on Brooke Ramsey, taking down Faulkner.
Again, a tough play by Brooke Ramsey. You hate to see a player asking for a yellow card. You want them to let the referee do their job. But that one's probably deserving of a card. She came through really hard.
Florida ball with 28:54 of the second half, trailing Auburn 2-1. Faulkner across the midfield mark. Forward for Smith. Drops it back to Faulkner. With room, sends it forward. Trying to set up Paleo. Paleo just outside the top of the box. Knocked off the ball by Solarue. Forward for Dodson.
She's got to hold this ball now, Andy.
Yeah. Midfield for Shell. Shell holds. Too far for Ramsey, but Brooke is there to retrieve. Sends it forward. Logan Beal. Foot race against Rachel Smith. Down in the corner. And off of Smith. Excuse me, not off of Smith, off of Beal.
This is going to become a real balancing act for Auburn. They've got to drop back in a little bit defensively with their wingers, but at the same time, if they get too compressed, they can't keep the ball, they can't win the ball. Eventually, Florida's going to find that equalizer.
Savannah Jordan with the heel ball, leaves it. Florida can't control. Ramsey taken down. And Ramsey stays down, and here's the Gators the other way. Savannah Jordan in a foot race with Kiana Clark, who wins it and sends it over the touchline.
Casey got her ankle trapped a little bit on that last play. Seems to be walking it off now.
Smith, the freshman out of Pembroke Pines, Florida. The one hopper to Lauren Smith. With some room, left foot shot in. Solarue used her body as a shield and then cleared it out. But Faulkner there for the Gators.
Every Gator player inside their Auburn's half.
Everybody forward for the Gators. Middleton works on Clark. Clark wins that ball. Clears it forward for Shell. Dodson racing down the left side. Ball goes wide left. And Cardano will run that one down for Florida.
Now, Auburn had a moment where they could have played Kristen Dodson in, but with Florida's speed, it disappeared more quickly than Auburn could take advantage of it.
26-20 in the second half. Gators ball, trailing 2-1. Auburn retrieves. Brooke Ramsier for her sister Casey. Wide for Beal. Beal against Smith. Sends it back, Allspack. Serves it into the box. Lauren Smith there for the Gators. Beal wins that ball, then goes down, and a foul against Florida.
And you just saw exactly what Coach Hoppe wants from this Auburn team. 45 seconds of nice possession, got into the flanks, and then won a free kick off of this. It all comes from being willing to keep possession of the ball against an extraordinarily good and confident Florida team.
Brooke Ramsier will take this. Has Allspack flanked on the right. Auburn drops 3 defenders back.
She can hook this on the 6.
On a low line drive shot, almost a knuckleball that Tysinger was able to come out and sends forward for Sharp, but too far for Sharp as she knocks down, and that will be a yellow against Sharp as she takes down Samantha Solaru.
And very dangerous play there. Sam Solaru with a leg extended. That could have ended very poorly. A very appropriate yellow card, but probably matched by the earlier foul by Ramsier on Faulkner.
All right, Faulkner will take this free ball for the Tigers. Top of the box, headed out. Allspack could not control. And Westfall the other way for the Gators. Jordan, Rochelle Smith runs past the ball, but Westfall retrieves. Clark across on a couple hops to Faulkner.
I'm not sure how much more Hannah Allspack has in her tank right now after Friday night. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ashton Brock come in relief.
A couple Auburn players waiting to come in, and they will now come in.
Coming in for the Tigers, number 10, Ashton
Brock and Leak
13, Ellie Leak.
replacing Solaru and Dodson.
I think they've got to take a look at Solaru after that contact, just coming off that high ankle sprain. So Hannah Allspack's going to have to tighten things up and keep pouring it out on the field.
Throw in for Auburn in front of that Florida bench. Ellie Leak right back into the contest. Drops it back. Troutman. Nope, will give way to Brock. 23-48 second half. 2-1 Auburn. Off the throw in. Florida gains control. Slattery. Near side, Solis. To Westfall. Sharp turns. Serves at top of the box. Into Jordan. Taken off the ball by Faulkner. Jordan went down. Faulkner had her hands up. I don't want a third penalty kick.
And Jordan was staring right at the referee hoping for that call. Courtney Shell having a word with him. I suspect she wanted him to deal with that for a potential dive.
Slattery off the throw in, and another coming up for the Gators.
In the last 2 games, Auburn no fan of penalty kicks.
Ooh, third one in the weekend.
That's right.
And a throw in deep in the corner now for the Gators. Cardano. Brock over the touchline.
An interesting no call there.
Yeah,
it was a very clear handball.
Yeah, it sure was.
But he waved it off. You could see him shake his head. No chance.
Inbound Solis. Knocked off the ball by Shell. Foul against Auburn. There's the foul eventually.
Yep. I knew it was coming.
And now a dangerous free kick for the Gators. And how many will Florida rotate forward now for this free kick inside that far sideline?
And they've only got 5 up, 4 inside the box.
Right. Looks like they'll rush 5. All near the top. Served in and wide. Now who gets to it? And a foul against Auburn. Clark pushed Jordan in the back.
And very, very savvy play by Jordan as she felt the contact and leaned back into it. Won another very dangerous free kick.
From Kristen Westfall, the senior out of Walsh Jesuit High School in Brecksville, Ohio.
7 players in the box for Florida.
In on a hop, it's high. Sent back to the top and high again down the side. Stays in. Offside.
Yeah. And Rachel Smith really wanted to get better contact on that. It almost worked out for her. It was so mishit that it spun and stayed in, but Florida offsides. Auburn very glad to see that call.
Breathe for a second when 20-30 to go in the second half.
That's right. Way too much time to get packed into your box and park the bus against a team as high quality as Florida.
It's a graded team averaging 3 goals per game. Auburn, despite its very good defensive numbers, this is as an offensive team as Auburn's had in quite some time. Averaged 2 goals a game coming in. Both of these teams won 3-2 on Friday.
Incredibly evenly matched teams. Quality defenders, quality attackers, very, very smart coaches, well-trained. This is what SEC soccer looks like.
Under 20 minutes now to go in the regulation period. Faulkner. Into the box, headed by Shell, but retrieved by Paleto. To Jordan, tries to flick it, doesn't get to Westfall as Allspack retrieves. Shell will send it wide to Ashton Brock. Down the side, Troutman didn't get there. Gators will turn. Slattery forward. Jordan. Casey Ramsier steps in front for Auburn.
It's great anticipation by an attacking center mid to step into a passing lane and turn Florida back.
Collision on the sideline. Ball out of bounds. And a yellow, I believe against Florida. Is that right?
It sure was.
Okay.
She came through really hard and just took her from behind. That was fortunate in some ways just to get a yellow for that. She was swinging through a player with her back turned.
Myra Paleo whistled for the yellow, the second yellow of the half for Florida. Faulkner wide, and that was easily cleared by the Gators, but retrieved by Allspack. To Ellie Leak. Tried to send it down the sideline. Florida turns it around. Ball still in play. Kiana Clark retrieves for Auburn with pressure from Sharp. Forward for Allspack. And poked out of bounds by Westfall near the midfield marker, and we'll get substitutions. One for each team. Van Ishoven, I believe, is the one for Auburn. She replaces Troutman. Maggie Dory Howard is in, replacing Paleo. Leak. Drops it back to Allspack. Beal out of bounds.
And every minute Auburn can keep this ball, earn a throw-in, earn a free kick, possess it through the back, just ticks time off the clock for Florida. And Florida getting a little desperate now. Starting to see a lot of players take risks on slide tackles.
Beal, Allspack forward for Leak. Can't quite control the touch. Gators have it. Brock drops it back, and this is Jordan. Splitting defenders. Savannah Jordan in on goal. Shoots and ties the game.
Get an unfortunate back pass by Ashton Brock that Jordan, you see why she's got so many goals, very calm, and simply sets up the goalkeeper and disposes of it, tucks it in the bottom left corner of the net.
Savannah Jordan has erased the 2-goal lead, a penalty kick, and then that run through the Auburn defenders of Clark and Faulkner and past LeBeau, and we're tied at 2 at the 17:32 mark of the second half.
And now you'll find out what Auburn's made of, giving up that 2-goal lead on an unfortunate play. And now the game really starts anew with 17 minutes to go.
Auburn scored 2 early. Florida has countered all 4 of the goals here in the second half. Solis forward. Jordan taken off the ball by Faulkner. And another turnover by the Tigers. Taken right back by Casey Ramsey to Ellie Leak. Leak goes wide to Beal. Rochelle Smith will drop back for the Gators. And Beal wins the ball. Serves it into Leak. Sends it high and wide. Trying to go to the far post.
A nice idea by Ellie. If she could have gotten a little more drive on that ball, could have been dangerous. And Tysinger did not look comfortable taking that ball out of the air.
I don't. When it left her foot, I think it just didn't look like it had the pace we thought it was going to have.
No, it had a lot of spin, but not a lot of pace.
Westfall wins that ball. Into the top. Westfall taken away by Faulkner. And another foul. This one goes against Smith as she took down Beal.
And really well defended by Kiana Clark. She knew, and this is a great testimony to Auburn's coach Ben Madsen for his scouting. She knew exactly which foot that player wanted the ball on and refused to show her to that stronger side. Ends up winning the ball.
And you now wonder if fatigue becomes a factor. You don't wonder. It is a factor right now. Auburn played double overtime on Friday night.
That's right. Their midfielders ran somewhere between 9 and 11 miles, maybe a little less, but it's a long way. They've got to be tired.
Van Ishoven, ball taken out of the air by Casey Ramsey, but out of the stadium. And a substitution for the Gators. Paleo back in. Yep. Myra Paleo back in, the freshman out of West Palm Beach, Florida.
When you look over at Auburn's sideline as that substitution happens, it looks like the walking wounded, crutches and knee braces. And this is where the depth that they started the season with, it's really evaporated in many ways. It may come back to hurt them.
Faulkner. For Sharp. Marked by Shell. And the Gators drop it back. Faulkner being marked by Leak. Van Ishoven wins that ball. Saves it to Leak. Now to Van Ishoven. And offside.
And the offsides bug now biting Auburn a little bit as that 1-2 combination play left Ishoven just slightly offside. And she plays it inside to Ellie Leak, who first times it. And again, very tight call with the center back, number 6. But Auburn will have to rebuild.
At the midfield mark, Gators. Jordan. Allspack. With Leak and Van Ishoven. Ellie Leak. With the right foot, sends it into the box, but too far past Van Ishoven.
And great idea on that ball. If Ishoven had been taking an outside position and coming in towards goal a little wider, she could have had a nice crack at that with her left foot.
Tied at 2 with 13:45 to go in the second half. Savannah Jordan with her 11th and 12th goals of the season to tie it up. After goals by Casey Ramsey and Kristen Dodson for Auburn. But of late, this has been all Florida. The momentum is with the Gators, to be sure. Paleo. Forward, and an unforced error, quite frankly.
Yeah, a little fatigue there. Smith has been getting up that sideline. She's probably been Florida's most dangerous player with the ball.
There's Dodson. Excuse me, Mac. Dodson replaces Beal for Auburn.
that's Westfall coming up the line. She's been, as we understood coming into this game, incredibly important for Florida getting into the final third.
Casey Ramsier. Across midfield to Charlotte Van Ishoven. Tried to feed to Brooke Ramsier and it didn't get there. Faulkner will drop back for Auburn. 12:38, second half, tied at 2. Number 13 Auburn, number 9 Florida. Van Ishoven tries to slice through. Casey Ramsier may have been offside anyway. And here's Lauren Smith the other way for the Gators. Solaroo stops that progress. Van Ishoven drops it back. Courtney Schell for Auburn. To Kiana Clark. Clark slices it in. Nobody there for Auburn. Schell. Leak with the right foot on a hop. It sliced her. It skipped just a bit, but Tysinger with the save.
A very ambitious shot by Ellie Leak. I might criticize her for that, but I've seen her hit those before and go upper 90 on them.
Florida with some room to move as Westfall moves forward. Down to Savannah Jordan. With the left foot, stops. Right foot into the box. Headed out by Brooke Ramsier and sent out to midfield by Schell. Gathered in by Faulkner. Wide for Paleo. Nice slice forward. Solis along the end line serves it in. A whiff there by Solaroo, but cleared by Auburn, and here's Van Ishoven for the Tigers. And out of bounds, Myra Paleo just won that ball from Van Ishoven, and Van Ishoven will come out. Troutman back in, replacing Van Ishoven. Chung, the freshman out of Boynton Beach, Florida, in the lineup for the Gators.
Chung has been very impressive in the minutes that she's gotten. Tremendous ability on the ball, can keep it for Florida. Auburn just trying to keep fresh feet on the field.
Faulkner. Back across midfield. Lauren Smith will just head it to Tysinger. 10:25 in the second half, tied at 2. Faulkner forward. Gators with it down the sideline. Solaroo goes down. Florida keeps the ball into the box. Off the right instep of Jordan.
Yeah, I'm really surprised there was no call on Sam Solaroo. She went down, contact from behind, but Florida converted that to a really good opportunity.
Montini replaces Schell. Jada was some minutes late in the first half. 9:45 and counting, second half, tied at 2.
Schell's such a critical player for Auburn in the midfield. Very rarely do you see her not on the field, getting a little bit of an opportunity to get some legs back under her.
Dodson trying to run down that ball, and it's just too far. Westfall with the throw in for the Gators. Sharp tries to turn and beats 2 Auburn defenders in doing so. Centers, sends it to Jordan. Savannah works on the flank. Into the box, to the end line. Serves it in, and it's sent over the end line by Faulkner.
Wow,
and that will give a corner to the Gators.
Tremendous read on that by Kayla Faulkner. She's not happy with the rest of her defense and letting them know right now that they've got to do a better job of not getting turned and then getting pressure on the ball.
Brock replaces Allspec for Auburn. Cardeo comes out. And Westfall will take this corner for the Gators, trying to gain the lead for the first time today. Far post, in the air and wide. But touched last by Auburn. And a corner far side for the Gators. And this will come from Lauren Smith.
Again, this is when the fatigue really begins to settle in. Auburn not wanting to deal with another set piece. Kayla Faulkner just looking for water in a bottle beside the goal, and it was empty.
Into the box. Sharp sends it back out to Smith. Wilson. Sharp. Right foot wide. Whew, that had some pace on it, didn't it?
Yeah, that'll get the heart racing. Sarah watched that calmly go past her right post, and Auburn will take a much-needed 15 or 20-second breather.
Don't you get the idea that a goal in regulation might do it for either team at this point?
Absolutely. Auburn's holding on valiantly, but obviously a bit tired, and understandably so. And I'm not sure either team could recover from another goal.
Westfall. Forward for Jordan. Back to Westfall. Turns nicely. Brings it into the center. Loads up the pass. Sotoru doesn't get much on it. Westfall keeps it alive for the Gators. Ramzier, now Westfall. And I believe a foul was called before the Westfall shot.
Now Auburn is faced with a real dilemma. Obviously, they want to push and find a goal in regulation. At the same time, they're still weathering a bit of a storm. But I've got to think, Andy, the last thing they want to see today is another overtime game.
Shots have evened considerably. 16-13 in favor of Auburn. Brock unable to get the ball to Dodson, but Dodson retrieves it anyway. Sends it up the sideline. Retrieved by Westfall. Along the sideline, Brock wins that one. Comes to Leak, top of the box. Ellie. Troutman with the left foot. Shot off the post! Oh, it hit the crossbar! Oh, my!
And Tysinger very fortunate as that ball came off the post. It hit her in the hand or in the shoulder, and 9 times out of 10, that's going to go back in the goal.
Faulkner has to drop back. This is when Florida can be really dangerous on a counter after narrowly escaping with a tie game. Howard, nice pass in, Jordan low, and LeBeau there. Boy, how close did Auburn come to regaining the lead here?
As close as you can, and it not going in. Again, a great strike by Troutman. It hits the post, comes back, hits the keeper right there, but just a glancing touch and is cleared off the line.
Back to action. Ashton Brock for Auburn. Slices to Leak. Leak. Nice play. Dodson in the box and now out the flank. Florida is able to retrieve and get it out. Brock is there for Auburn. Forward for Ramzier. Slices. Right side Dodson with the shot and high.
Again, when Ellie Leak has the ball on her feet, her vision, her confidence in being able to create opportunities for a teammate is unparalleled on this team.
Courtney Shell back into the lineup for Montini. Also, Allspack replaces Brock, and Cardano back into the lineup for the Gators. Just over 4 minutes to go in regulation. Auburn and Florida tied at 2.
Classic game developing here with each team dominating for long periods of time, and then that momentum flips, and it's hard to explain, Andy.
Leak. Wide for Dodson. Left foot forward. Ramzier not there. Couldn't quite get there. Tysinger nicely off of her line to get to that one.
And great idea. And now it's Auburn creating the opportunities.
Right. Wide and out.
Auburn will count itself very fortunate. Westfall has just had that line to herself the last 25 minutes.
Another. Auburn will get a throw in even further down the sideline now. Dodson inbounds to Allspack. To Dodson. Back to Allspack. Centers to Leak and taken off the ball nicely from behind. Cardano. Forward and over Jordan, or past Jordan and out.
Again, great presence of mind by Brooke Ramsier to press that ball but not rush it and force the errant pass.
Ramsier sends it to the defense for the Gators, and Faulkner will drop it back to Tysinger. Nope, she won't. She'll take it.
Oh, that's a very confident center back. You see why she's with the U23s.
Lauren Smith. There's a win for Solarue. Samantha against Faulkner with the right foot high. Oh, she had two players on her right.
Yeah, she had nothing but eyes for that goal, though. She's limping now. That ankle's still got to be bothering her, but she had the chance to be the hero.
Look where she has
win.
Dodson and Ramsier, and
right.
One of those will not be marked.
That's right. And she could have just slotted her teammate in, maybe a better opportunity, but it's hard to criticize her for taking that opportunity. Just wish she'd have kept it on frame.
2 minutes and 7 seconds in the second half. Florida ball. Tricoli forward. Heads it forward again to Sharp. Taken off the ball. Allspack the other way for Auburn. To Casey Ramsier. Drops it back to her sister Brooke. Sends it across midfield. 1:42 in the second half. Are we headed to a second straight overtime for this Auburn team?
Well, if Kayla Faulkner hadn't have won that header, we wouldn't have been. And again, a tactical foul by Ellie Leak. She'll take one for the team here.
That'll be a yellow on Ellie Leak as Faulkner was flying up the middle of the field.
And the last thing you want is Faulkner with that ball at her feet going through the middle of the field. And Ellie was just like, okay, we're going to stop the game now.
Yeah, we'll take it. Clock is stopped with 1:33 to go. Westfall will take this corner in the center circle. Excuse me, we'll take this free ball in the center circle.
That's right.
I'm not trying to reinvent the game here.
That'd be interesting.
Nice service in, headed out by Faulkner. Flicked back. Gators with some pressure. Allspack wins that ball. Here's a counter for Auburn. Allspack centers to Kristen Dodson. Hits it forward, but Lauren Smith will get there before her. Troutman does. 1:07 in the second half. Casey Ramsier up the middle. Cut it loose, does, and wide. But it was deflected in a corner coming for Auburn in the final minute of regulation. And it will come from Taylor Troutman.
And I'm sure Auburn's going to relax a little bit on this and take this one final opportunity. And you'd think they might throw a few more numbers in the box if they can stall long enough to make this the last kick of the game.
Into the 6, headed, wide shot, goal! Casey Ramsier with 25 seconds in the second half.
I'm not sure you can come up with a more dramatic win than Friday night, but there it is, Andy. The ball falls right to her feet, and absolutely no mistake, off her thigh, and no way goalkeeper can do anything about that.
Goal number 4. There's your SEC Offensive Player of the Week.
Amen, Andy. What a tremendous team effort by Auburn. They looked like they were out of it for 25 minutes.
Well, we're not done yet.
No,
Still 24 seconds to go in the second half. Auburn leads 3-2 as they try to set up Jordan. It's loose. Allspack just clears it to midfield. Faulkner will retrieve with 12 seconds to go. Lauren Smith down to 8. Left foot in on a hop. Jordan turns. No. Auburn's going to win it. Tigers 3, Florida 2.
Second big upset of the day, Andy.
Auburn wins its second straight game 3-2.